begin with a teaching from Master Hongzhi, who is going to be one of the inspirations of this session. This is a little writing called The Acupuncture Needle of Zazen. The essential function of all Buddhas, the functional essence of all ancestors, is to be aware without touching things, and to illuminate without encountering others. Knowing without touching things, this knowledge is innately subtle. Illuminating without encountering other, this illumination is innately miraculous. Knowledge innately subtle has never engaged in discriminative thinking. The illumination innately miraculous has never displayed the slightest identification. Never engaging in discriminating thinking, this knowledge, you could say this awareness, is rare without match. Never displaying the most minute identification, this illumination is complete with no grasping. The water is clear right down to the bottom. Fish lazily swim on. The water is clear right down to the bottom. Fish lazily swim on. The sky is vast without end. Birds fly far into the distance. So it is lovely to be here with you and to be, let's say, descending into this great and ancient ritual happening now called Sesshin. Sesshin is a playground of the wonders of presence. It's an experiment to see what happens when the mind quiets and opens up. How does the world then come forward? What illuminates? What touches the heart? What becomes clear when we become clear? The playground of the wonders of presence. Our lives are, or could be, a garden of delights, but often something is very much in the way. What to do about that? Sesshin is the immanent truth that there is no fixed self. You are not a finished being. There is no final way it is for us. This mind is flowing and open and all mixed up in everything we see, hear, taste, touch, feel. Already we sit in the freedom of not having a hard bone in mind. It's already true. Serene illumination is already basically what's going on. Sesshin is a time when we might be able to notice and appreciate that. Sesshin is a time of cultivating the spiritual path in a particular way. Here we can continually put energy into concentration. We can do the experiment of what happens when I continually, steadily, imperfect as it will be, put my energy, gather my attention into concentration. What's possible there? What richness and brightness of this very mind I have I yet to taste? What could open up? what could drop away in that concentration. Sesshin is cultivating a heart of sincerity and honesty. We will encounter our own heart mind starkly. The current mind that we've been playing out. We get visited by past minds because this present moment is an echo of the past. We encounter our habituation. Not bad, not good, but how or if it does bind me, what's it like to sit and look right into what that binding is made of? We encounter our own heart minds intimately. We encounter the world mind starkly. There's something we cannot understand about why the world is what it is without understanding why our mind, or better, what our mind is as it is. In a sense, everything that arises is just our personal spin on universal ways of being, ways of feeling and seeing. Thus, through this being, we come to know, we come to have compassion for the world. Sesshin is encountering our own desire, I hope, to be free of the burden of heart-mind. Ancient masters like Hongzhi would always celebrate, they like to call no mind, wuxi. The thoughts and the outlooks and the inner commentary that we take as a basic and sometimes even appropriate feature of our own consciousness can all completely fall away, at least for periods of time. We can taste and completely transparent radiance that is known as much more true than anything we can think or feel or believe. We may touch our own deep desire for, we'll just call all of that mystical. Mystical, that which is just a few steps out where the mind can't go. A few steps beyond the borders of thinking mind and our strategies at staying safe and comfortable. Sesshin is a time we unburden our world a bit. And sometimes we unburden it quite a lot. We don't know, we don't need to know, and it's an obstacle to believe that we know what we're going to work on, or what we're going to encounter, or what's possible. We unburden our world by stepping forward in sincerity, but with no fixed agenda other than to engage wholeheartedly. So there's this interesting interplay in our tradition, in Sesshin. On the one hand, you are intimately and immediately totally free. If it seems that you have a problem, it's just because you think, I have a problem. If you you think you're separate, it's simply because you believe you're separate. We are immediately on the spot free beings. And to appreciate that this practice is easy and takes no work at all. Because awake is your nature. And then, on the other hand, well, we're very much full of habit energy. And our personalities are largely different, sometimes charming. Our personalities are different ways that we tend to shut down. We're not allowed that immediate awakening. So on one hand, there's no work to be done whatsoever. The fact that you feel this body right now and hear these sounds is illumination flowing with zero obstruction. It doesn't get any more pure and free than this. And it's not so all easy to see that. And so we are cultivating. In other words, we are creating the causes to deepen our own awareness. And they're simultaneously true. I'm going to be commenting on Master Honger extensively. It's my pleasure to teach from this text. I have been studying this regularly for over 20 years. And these writings have informed my understanding of this practice for a very, very long time. And this is a very influential text and teacher, Master Honger's writings in the Soto Zen tradition, Kaodong. So this is the ancestor that was one of the progenitors of the Book of Serenity, which is a well-known book of koan. But these instructions that are translated in Cultivating the Empty Field and in other places are apparently, and it's very inspiring, they're just things that came out of this guy's mouth when someone showed up and said, hey, what's meditation? And so one of the things I will be doing in daily talks is selecting some of these sayings that rose from the luminous mouth of Master Honger, and sharing my experience and understanding, and inviting us into appreciating what he's talking about. Because although the language is beautiful and poetic, it is not something alien to our experience. So, right now though, I want to talk speak to a few things that Dogen Zenji said about Zazen. And specifically, Dogen had more to say about what Zazen is not than what it is. And that is in total alignment with you are already essentially a free being. You've just been given, you're continually given this gift of an intimate life. And that's just not appreciated because of the complications of our minds. So Zazen is you in that most intimate moment before conditioning kicks in. each intimate moment you are just so. This we call Zazen. So this is from the Fukan Zazen, some of the things that I'm going to highlight that are really important to appreciate before Sesshin. So Dogen Zenji says, Zazen is not introspection. It's not introspection. That is this practice as it's intended. Of course, you can do whatever you want. This practice as it is intended is not intended to be a time when you think about or contemplate your life. It's not supposed to be a life review. It's not supposed to be an analysis of your behavior. It's not analysis of other people's behavior. But we know how that goes in Zendo. Zazen is not you quieting your mind so that you can think more clearly and get a new angle on the problems you had since you were 20 or whatever. It is not a psychological practice. And many of you know I appreciate very much the work of psyche. And there is a time, even in Zen practice, for carefully thinking about our lives, as you know. But Zazen is not intended to be a time when we do that. Now, one of the things that happens as we become more concentrated, as the mind becomes more clear, as we relax, is that insights and new perspectives tend to come up occasionally because we've made a little bit more space. We've unhooked from a particular loop, particular repetitive view that we knowingly or not rehearse about things, people, places, ourselves. And then there's room for something different to arise, and that's very intoxicating. We're so in love with our thoughts. We love what we think. We think what we think is so important. Now, Zazen is also not perfectionism. So it's not that when this happens or if you do this, somehow you're a failure. We should put you in the corner or something. No. This is just a reminder. This is not the primary point. The benefits of psychological introspection are crumbs compared to the benefits of concentration and the illumination that can come from that. One session of wholehearted, deep letting go into concentration without going into the personality will tend to free up the personality more than maybe 500 sessions with the therapist. I'm exaggerating, but anyways, I think you get my point. Zazen is not introspection. That presents a challenge to us to continually re-engage with the primary point. I will do my best to encourage, but you are the only one who exists in the atmosphere of your mind. Zazen, Jogen said, is not climbing a step ladder to enlightenment. He said something like, those of you who approach meditation as if you were climbing a staircase to enlightenment are as far from true practice as heaven is from earth. Now, there are some traditions that very much say do this, then this will happen. And after that happens, do this, and then that will happen. And very much lay it out for you as if it's like some sort of royal carpet you could just saunter down and get to the end. Our understanding of practice is more subtle. In a way, our understanding of practice is that it's much more messy and that the pure and the impure, mud and water are all mixed up from the very start. Zazen is not climbing a stepladder to enlightenment, essentially means don't believe you are trying to have a different experience. The gold is in the mud. And when you taste that the gold is in the mud, it's no longer mud. Zazen is not climbing a stepladder to enlightenment also means don't believe that this particular configuration of your body mind, a moody configuration, a sleepy configuration, whatever configuration of body, heart, and mind, don't believe this is unsuitable. We tend to veto our own potential by saying, yeah, at this moment I'm just not quite, there's too much of this and not enough of that, so maybe next period, this one's a wash. Let's think about our lives. That's partially climbing steps that ladder to enlightenment. You think, well, there are particular stones to step on, and I don't have one to step on. So Jogen says, Zazen is Buddha's practice. You are doing the Buddha's practice. Sit like a child of the awakened ones. Of the same species as Buddha. In other words, Zazen as Buddhist practice, through your method, you optimize the unfolding of awake awareness. This Buddha is not other, and it's not self. You optimize the unfolding of awake awareness basically by getting out of the way. A student once asked his teacher, why don't I see the way? We talk about it like it's just so evident. This Dharma, why don't I see it? He said, your eye is in the way. Not your E-Y-E. Your eye. Your eye and all the attendant thoughts that swarm and buzz around it. In a way, it's not the thoughts that are in the way, it's the fascination with them. It's the investing them with utmost importance, so awareness shrivels down, and loses all its potency and radiance. Zazen as Buddhist practice means your method is to get out of the way. To allow something deep and vast and uncontrivable. It's deep. Whatever we say about it or believe we understand about it is ultimately just, at best, decent words. It's vast. It's so much larger than our individual boxes and lifespans. And it's uncontrivable. You cannot make it happen. Just like you can't make the sky happen. Just like you can't make the sun rise in the sky. The sun rises in the sky when it rises in the sky. It does have a rhythm. You can't make it happen. But therein lies the paradox. You can't make it happen, and you can't say, well, forget them, I'm just going to drift, or why should I even do the practice? You optimize the unfolding. And our ancestors believed that Sesshin was the optimum way to optimize the unfolding of awake awareness. So Hongzhi celebrates a method called serene illumination. In other words, the union of calm concentration and awakeness which sees the nature of things. The technical language for this is shamatha vipassana. Or I like stopping and seating. One of the Chinese ancestors called it stopping and seating. Stopping, shamatha, that's the serenity part. Illumination is the awake, the alert, the seeing right through part. So he emphasizes this, Hongzhi, as the method. And we could say, well, it's not a method. It's more than a method. Serene illumination is a spirit of practice. The spirit of this practice is relaxed frictionlessness. Whatever your particular meditation method may be, if you bring the spirit of relaxed frictionlessness into it, you are in the country of silent illumination. It's compatible with every practice. Relaxed frictionlessness, that's basically saying the same thing. The discriminating mind continually decides, is pointing at, this is a little out of place, this feeling is good, this one not so good. This sensation, I'll wiggle a little bit to not feel it. This one I'll savor and I'll lean into some. Or when there's really a challenging feeling, that mind makes a big wall. We wall off part of our own body, part of our own heart. Make a little cinder block compartment. Decide that's the wrong thing to be experiencing. Frictionlessness is a spirit of just fully letting each texture of each moment just be exactly what it is. We would say acceptance, but the irony or the beauty is, as soon as you really let the moment be as it is, it's already transformed. There's nothing to accept. This body-mind is pure, frictionless creativity. The mind makes it seem otherwise. So this word frictionlessness, you contrast that to friction. It's the word dukkha. I'm sure you're familiar with. Don't wait for the end of dukkha, for the eightfold path. Practice the end of dukkha right now. Frictionlessness. Let each bit of your experience, inside, outside, body, heart, mind, just be what it is. No enemies. No improvement. space. It's frictionlessness. Now, for some people, there comes a time when serene illumination is good to think about as a method. There's some ways in which, as a method, it's a little bit different than, or a lot different than a body scan or a metta practice or something. So my encouragement is continue with the practice you've already been doing with this spirit of relaxed frictionlessness. And then Sanzen, we can discuss. Maybe it would be good to shift, maybe not. Silent illumination is not really a method, so much as teachings to help us strip away everything extra that we bring to this moment and let it shine as is. We have the great ally of silence. We're significantly reducing the amount of talking we do. I hope some of you have the fortune of greatly reducing the amount of listening we do. And so silence as a primary texture of life can really be tasted and aligned with. Just to recognize this omnipresent dimension, this reality of silence, tune into that continually. And so that doesn't require you to be sitting on this cushion. You can be attuned to the dimension of quiet, you can call it space, in whatever we do, in each moment. I will do my best to encourage and remind you to continually practice. And I want to invite you to do your best to remind yourself to continually practice.